for the day when I wouldn't have to be on my feet for long shifts. In fact, just the thought of that had me digging into my purse for my cell phone. Maybe one of the many jobs I'd interviewed for had finally left me a message letting me know the job was mine, and that today was my last day working at the Tasty Bite. As I unlocked my phone, a tiny app alert immediately popped up on my cell phone screen. "Someone has replied to your honey drop message." After the morning I'd had at the diner, the honey drop app had completely slipped my mind. However, I soon remembered the green eyes of the Armani model who left me a message earlier. Ignoring the skepticism I'd felt about message 21 earlier, I tapped on the honey drop icon, interested in seeing what kind of a reply I had received. Entering the honey drop reply section, I found 2 messages waiting for me. Message 21, reply to you. "I don't think we've met before. I'm sure I would have remembered such beautiful eyes. Let's test out that theory." Message 21, reply to you. "Meet me for dinner tonight, 7 p.m. at the Burnham Hotel restaurant on Leftham Road. Just ask for Kay at the desk." I felt a flutter of nerves in my stomach as I read the second message. The Burnham Hotel was an insanely expensive and ridiculously exclusive 5-star hotel and restaurant. As part of an international chain of hotels, the Burnham Hotels were architectural pieces of art and were among the most recognized buildings in whichever city they laid claim to. "So what is it?" Hannah's voice interrupted my train of thought. "You look like you just got some good news," she said as she grabbed a chair and sat down at the break room table. I gave my cell phone a puzzled look before turning my gaze on Hannah. "Not really good news, more like okay news," I said as I got up from the locker bench and joined Hannah at the table. "Well, it could be good news, I guess," I said as my words trailed off. I watched as Hannah started to unwrap a sandwich, placing a napkin down on the table before setting her sandwich on top. "So?" Hannah encouraged, the amusement evident on her features as she raised her eyebrows pointedly. I waved around my cell phone, gesturing at it thoughtfully. "After last night, I decided to take your advice and maybe, well, not really, kind of get directly underneath a man, but..." Hannah briefly raised a hand at my nervous babble. "Honestly, if you don't want to tell me, that's fine," she said calmly. "You don't need to. We all have things we want to keep private," she said as she gave me a meaningful look. "As you well know about me." I nodded, distracted by thoughts of my first potential date in months. "Actually, this kind of has to do with that," I said, my voice sounding as unsure as I felt. Both of Hannah's eyebrows rose at those words. Her sandwich paused halfway to her mouth. "Really?" I nodded. "I signed up to Honey Drop last night after I met your, well..." I struggled to find the words before settling on "your Dave. Anyway..." I continued talking into the slightly awkward atmosphere that developed. "There is this one guy I replied to. Is he hot?" Hannah interrupted. "Very hot," I neatly replied before continuing my explanation without missing a beat. "And now he wants to meet me at the Burnham Hotel restaurant this evening, at 7 p.m. I shrugged helplessly. "Should I go?" I looked at Hannah earnestly, eager for a pearl of wisdom, but she simply stared right back at me for a long moment before rolling her eyes. "Ugh!" Hannah expelled the groan of exasperation. "Of course you should go." I gave her a nonplussed look as I scoffed. "No, I can't just..." I shook my head. "I don't just go and meet him. It might not even be his picture," I tried to argue. Hannah placed her sandwich back down onto the table, then leaned forward on her elbows. Her hands steepled together as she rested her chin on top of them. "First of all, how hot was he again?" Hannah asked me in all seriousness. "He looks like he has a modeling contract," I replied honestly, but rushed to explain why I was still reluctant to meet him. "But it might be a fake photo." "Second of all," Hannah cut in, ignoring my protest, "how long has it been since you last went on a date?" Well, My voice waned away as my gaze shifted from Hannah to anything else in the room. It had been well over 6 months since I had tried the dating scene. "Exactly." Hannah said with such finality that her self-assured tone made me snap my eyes back to meet with hers. "Look," Hannah said, dropping her steepled hands from her chin to lay them flat on the table. "You need to get back out there. This guy doesn't need to be the one," Hannah said as she pantomimed air quotes around those last two words. "Just look to have fun and get back on the wagon." My cell phone still in hand, I gave it a pinched look of concern. But what if he isn't the man in the picture? Doubts and questions popped into my mind thick and fast as I searched the lock screen of my phone as though it held the answers to my questions. Or maybe he ends up skipping out on the bill. I mean, that restaurant is really expensive. I'll be doing dishes for weeks to make up for that. And what if he only wants to meet at a hotel restaurant because the hotel room is nearby? I raised my eyes up to look at Hannah, with a small shake of the head. "No, this is just a bad idea."